Imagine that you are standing on an old wooden platform at a small train station in the middle of a vast and quiet countryside. The air is cool and fresh with the scent of rain and damp earth. You can hear the distant sound of a train whistle blowing softly in the night. It is a low and soothing sound that echoes across the empty fields. The train is approaching very slowly. The rhythm of the wheels on the tracks is steady and calm. Click-clack, click-clack, click-clack. The large iron engine pulls into the station with a gentle hiss of steam. The doors open with a slow creak, and you step inside onto the soft carpet of the corridor. The interior is warm and dimly lit with golden lamps that cast long shadows on the polished wood paneling. You find your compartment and slide the heavy door open. Inside there is a large plush seat covered in deep blue velvet. You sit down and sink into the softness of the cushion. The train begins to move again, pulling away from the station with a gentle lurch. You lean your head back against the seat and close your eyes for a moment, listening to the rhythmic sound of the wheels. The train is picking up speed, but it is never fast, just a steady rolling motion that rocks you gently back and forth. You open your eyes and look out the window. The glass is cool to the touch and speckled with tiny droplets of rain. Outside, the world is a blur of dark shapes and shadows. You can see the silhouette of trees passing by one, their branches swaying slightly in the wind. The moon is hidden behind a thick blanket of clouds, but a soft gray light filters through, illuminating the rolling hills in the distance. The train passes a small farmhouse with a single light burning in the window. It looks cozy and warm against the dark night. You wonder who is inside and what they are doing. Perhaps they are reading a book or drinking a cup of hot tea. The house disappears behind a grove of pine trees, and you're left alone with the darkness again. The rain begins to fall harder now, tapping a gentle rhythm against the window pane. Tap, tap, tap. It is a comforting sound that makes you feel safe and sheltered inside your warm compartment. The wheels continue their steady beat, a lullaby of steel and iron. You take a deep breath and let it out slowly, feeling the tension leaving your shoulders and neck. Your eyelids are growing heavy. The gentle rocking of the train is making you sleepy. You watch the raindrops race each other down the glass, merging and separating in endless patterns. The landscape outside changes slowly. The hills flatten out into wide-open plains. You can see the faint outline of fences running alongside the tracks, mile after mile of wooden posts and wire. Occasionally, you see a herd of cows standing motionless in a field. They do not look up as the train passes. They are just dark shapes in the mist. The train crosses a small bridge over a river. The sound of the wheels changes to a hollow rumble for a few seconds before returning to the familiar click-clack. The water below is dark and still, reflecting the few lights from the train. You rest your cheek against the cool window and watch the world go by. Everything is peaceful and slow. There is no rush to get anywhere. The journey is the destination. You feel a sense of timelessness, as if the train could go on forever through this quiet night. The air in the compartment is warm and smells of old paper and polished wood. It is a scent that reminds you of a library or an old bookshop, comforting and familiar. You adjust your position on the velvet seat, seeking the most comfortable spot. Your legs are heavy and relaxed. Your arms rest loosely in your lap. You listen to the faint creaking of the wood paneling as the train sways gently around a curve. It is a soothing sound, like the timber of a ship at sea. The rhythm of the rails slows down slightly as the train begins to climb a long, gentle slope. You can hear the engine working a little harder, a deep thrumming vibration that travels through the floor and into your feet. It feels grounding and solid. Outside, the rain has turned into a soft mist that clings to the ground, swirling around the base of the trees. The world seems to have softened. The sharp edges of the day have blurred into the smooth curves of the night. You close your eyes again and focus on your breathing, in and out, slow and steady, matching the rhythm of the train. You imagine the steam from the engine drifting back over the carriages, a long white ribbon dissolving into the darkness. You are safe here, cocooned in warmth and comfort. Nothing can disturb you. The worries of the day are left far behind at the station, fading away with every turn of the wheels. You are simply a passenger on a journey through the night, watching and listening and resting. The train crests the hill and begins to descend. The engine quiets down, and the train glides effortlessly down the track. The clicking of the wheels becomes softer and faster, a gentle patter like rain on a roof. You open your eyes to see a small town passing by in the distance, a cluster of streetlights glowing in the fog. The lights are yellow and hazy, looking like distant stars that have fallen to earth. The town is asleep. The streets are empty and silent. You pass a crossing with a flashing red light and a ringing bell. The sound is muffled by the glass in the distance. Ding, ding, ding. And then it is gone, fading into the background noise of the train. You are back in the open country now, surrounded by fields of tall grass that ripple in the wind like waves on an ocean. The clouds above are beginning to break, revealing patches of dark blue sky and a few glimmering stars. The moonlight breaks through and paints the landscape in shades of silver and blue. The shadows stretch long and thin across the grass. You watch the play of light and shadow, mesmerizing and hypnotic. Your eyes are getting harder to keep open. The heaviness in your body is pleasant and warm. You feel like you are sinking deeper into the velvet seat, becoming one with the gentle motion of the train. The sound of the rain has stopped, and now there is only the sound of the wind rushing past and the rhythmic clatter of the tracks. It is a white noise that blocks out all other thoughts, leaving your mind clear and empty. You think about the destination of the train, a place of rest and quiet, but it doesn't really matter where you are going. Being here is enough, floating through the night in this metal capsule of calm. You notice the details of the compartment, the brass handle on the door, the intricate pattern on the carpet, the way the light reflects off the polished mahogany. Everything is still and solid. You feel a deep sense of gratitude for this moment of peace. The train slows down again as it approaches a wide curve. The wheels squeal softly against the rails, a high-pitched sound that is not unpleasant, but simply part of the symphony of the journey. You look out the window and see a forest approaching. The trees are tall and ancient,
their branches interlocking to form a canopy over the tracks. The train enters the forest and the light changes. It becomes darker and more intimate. The trees rush by in a blur of vertical lines. The sound of the train echoes off the trunks, making it sound louder and closer. You feel like you are traveling through a tunnel of green and black, a secret passage through the woods. The air feels cooler here. You can feel a slight draft coming from the window, fresh and pine-scented. You pull your coat tighter around you and snuggle into the corner of the seat. The rhythm of the wheels is your heartbeat, steady and strong. You are drifting between waking and sleeping, a twilight state where dreams and reality mix. You imagine you are floating above the train, looking down at the long line of lighted windows winding through the dark forest like a glowing snake. It is a beautiful image that makes you smile. The train begins to slow down, the rhythm of the wheels changing to a slow, heavy thud. Thud, thud. You're approaching a signal. The train comes to a complete stop in the middle of the forest. Silence descends, a thick, heavy silence that presses against your ears. There is no sound of traffic, no voices, only the gentle hiss of steam escaping from the engine and the settling of the metal carriages. You look out into the woods. Everything is still. A single leaf falls from a tree and drifts slowly to the ground. You watch it land, resting on the damp earth. The train waits, the engine idling with a soft purr. You feel a sense of anticipation, but it is not anxious. It is a calm waiting, a pause in the journey to simply be. You close your eyes and listen to the silence. It is deep and restful. You can hear the beating of your own heart, slow and calm. After a few minutes, the whistle blows again, a soft, mournful sound that seems to say goodbye to the quiet forest. The train jerks slightly and begins to move, slowly at first, then gathering speed. The rhythm returns, click-clack, click-clack, comforting and familiar. You leave the forest behind and emerge back into the open plains. The moon is higher now, shining brightly on the fields. The world is bathed in silver light. It is breathtakingly beautiful in its simplicity. You feel a wave of drowsiness wash over you, heavy and irresistible. You let your head fall back against the cushion. Your eyes close, and this time they stay closed. You listen to the wheels. You listen to the wind. You listen to the silence underneath the sound. You are safe. You are warm. You are moving towards a place of deep and restful sleep. The train rocks you gently, back and forth, a giant cradle rocking you to sleep. The images of the passing landscape fade from your mind, replaced by a soft gray fog of sleep. You are drifting deeper and deeper, the sound of the train becoming a distant hum, a soothing vibration that travels through your bones. You are no longer a passenger. You are part of the train, part of the night, part of the silence. You drift on the river of sleep, carried along by the current, down and down into the darkness, peaceful and quiet and still. Good night. You are standing before the tall, heavy doors of an old museum. The wood is dark and polished smooth by time. You reach out and push one door open, and it swings inward with a heavy, silent weight, revealing a grand entrance hall bathed in the soft, dim light of late afternoon. The air inside is cool and still, smelling faintly of floor wax and old paper and dust. You step inside, and the door closes behind you, shutting out the noise of the bustling city, leaving you in a sanctuary of absolute silence. Your footsteps echo softly on the marble floor, click-step, a slow and rhythmic sound that travels up to the high vaulted ceiling. Shadows stretch long across the floor, reaching out from the base of tall stone pillars that line the hallway. You walk slowly towards the center of the room, where a large circular desk sits empty. There is no one here, just you and the history of the world sleeping in glass cases. You feel a sense of ownership, as if this quiet space belongs only to you for this moment. You turn to the left and enter a long corridor lined with tall glass cabinets. This is the Hall of Minerals and Geology, a place of stillness and solid earth. You walk past row after row of rocks, jagged quartz crystals that catch the faint light, smooth river stones in shades of gray and brown, lumps of granite and slate that have sat unchanged for millions of years. You stop to look at a large piece of amethyst, its purple crystals sparkling dimly in the shadows. It is heavy and grounding just looking at it. You imagine the slow pressure of the earth forming these stones over eons, a process so slow it is almost like sleep itself. You move on, your pace unhurried, drifting like a cloud through the quiet air. You pass a display of fossilized ferns, their delicate patterns imprinted forever in dark shale. They remind you of the permanence of things, of how everything eventually settles into rest. The corridor opens up into a larger room filled with ancient pottery, shelves upon shelves of clay jars and bowls. Some are cracked and broken, others are whole and perfect, all of them resting in the silence. You look at the faded patterns painted on a large water jug, circles and lines in rusty red and ochre. You wonder about the hands that made it thousands of years ago, hands that are long gone, leaving only this quiet object behind. The room is dimly lit. The lights are low to protect the artifacts, creating a cozy atmosphere that makes your eyelids feel heavy. You can hear the faint hum of the air conditioning system, a white noise that is steady and soothing. Hum. It sounds like a distant wind blowing over a desert. You walk around a display containing ancient farming tools, rusted iron plowshares, and wooden handles worn smooth by use, simple objects from a simpler time. There is nothing demanding your attention here, nothing flashing or loud, just simple, quiet things resting in the dark. You feel your breathing slowing down, matching the slow pace of your walk. You leave the pottery room and enter a gallery of old tapestries. The walls are covered in fabric that dampens the sound of your footsteps even more. The room is hushed and muffled. The tapestries depict scenes of forests and castles, but the colors have faded to soft pastels of green and blue and beige. The figures in the fabric are frozen in time, waiting patiently in the gloom. You feel a kinship with them, a sense of pausing, of stopping the forward motion of the day. There is a large velvet bench in the center of the room. It looks inviting and soft. You decide to sit down for a moment. The velvet is cool and smooth beneath your hands. You sink into the cushion and let your legs relax. The tension in your back melts away as you lean forward and rest your elbows on your knees, looking at the floor. The parquet floor is patterned in a complex geometric design, interlocking squares and diamonds. You trace the lines with your eyes, round and round, over and under. The pattern is repetitive and hypnotic. It tires your eyes in a pleasant way. You lift your head and look down the long hallway you just came from. It is a tunnel of shadow and silence. You are alone, but you are not lonely. You feel surrounded by the peaceful presence of the past. The museum is a vault of sleep, a place where time has stopped. You close your eyes for a second and listen, really listen to the silence. It is not empty, it is full of weight and texture.
A heavy velvet blanket of quiet that wraps around you. You can hear the beating of your own heart, slow and steady, thud, thud, thud. You open your eyes and stand up slowly. Your body feels heavy and relaxed. You continue your walk, moving deeper into the museum. You enter a hall of ancient manuscripts. The lights here are even lower to protect the ink. The room is filled with glass cases containing open books. The pages are yellowed and crinkled, covered in rows of handwritten text. You cannot read the words, but the rhythm of the writing is soothing, line after line of loops and curves flowing across the page like waves on a calm sea. You imagine the scratch of the quill against the parchment, a quiet sound in a quiet room long ago. You walk past a display of old maps, faded drawings of coastlines and oceans, sea monsters and sailing ships. The world was bigger then and more mysterious, a place where you could get lost, just like you are lost now in this maze of quiet rooms. You find a staircase leading up to the second floor. The steps are wide and shallow, made of white stone. You ascend slowly, holding on to the cool brass railing, your hand sliding effortlessly along the metal, step by step, lifting your weight with easy effort. At the top of the stairs is a gallery of night skies. The ceiling is painted dark blue and covered in gold stars. The walls are lined with old telescopes and astrolabes, brass instruments used to measure the heavens. You look up at the painted stars. They are fixed and unmoving, eternal watchers in the night. The room is circular, and you walk around the perimeter, trailing your hand along the wall, feeling the cool, smooth plaster. You come to a large window that looks out over the city, but it is raining outside, and the glass is blurred with water. The city lights are just smeared blobs of orange and white, distant and unimportant. The rain drums softly against the glass, a gentle pattering sound that mixes with the silence of the museum. You lean your forehead against the cool glass and close your eyes. The coolness feels good against your skin, soothing your tired mind. You stay there for a long time, just listening to the rain and the silence. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to do. The museum is your fortress of solitude, your temple of rest. You turn away from the window and see another bench, this one nestled in a dark corner under an archway. You walk over to it, your movements slow and heavy. You sit down and lean your head back against the wall, stretching your legs out in front of you. The museum stretches out around you, miles of corridors and rooms, all empty, all silent, all sleeping. You feel the sleepiness rising in you like a tide, filling your chest and your head. Your breathing is deep and rhythmic, in and out, in and out. The smell of old paper and dust is comforting, a scent of memories and time. You let your mind drift, floating through the halls you have just walked, past the minerals and the pottery, past the tapestries and the books. Everything is resting, everything is still, and you are part of it now, a statue in the darkness, a sleeper in the hall of sleep. The darkness behind your eyelids is warm and inviting. You sink deeper into the bench, deeper into the quiet. The world fades away until there is only the rhythm of your breath and the soft echo of the silence, drifting, floating, sleeping. Good night. You are standing at the edge of a weathered wooden dock that stretches out into a vast and silent lake. The wood is cool and damp beneath your feet and smells of water and aged timber. The air is thick with a morning mist that hides the far shore, turning the world into a soft gray void. You can hear the gentle lapping of water against the wooden pilings, slosh, 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 a rhythmic and hypnotic sound that instantly slows your heart rate. A small wooden rowboat is tied to a cleat at the end of the dock, bobbing gently in the water. You step down into the boat, and it rocks slowly from side to side, welcoming your weight. You sit on the wooden bench in the middle and untie the thick rope, casting off from the dock. You pick up the oars, which are smooth and worn from years of use. They feel solid and heavy in your hands. You place them into the oarlocks with a dull clunk. You push the handles forward, and the blades dip silently into the water. You pull back, and the boat glides forward, cutting through the glass-like surface of the lake. Dip, pull, glide, dip, pull, glide. The motion becomes a rhythm, a slow dance between you and the water. The dock fades into the mist behind you, and you are alone in the center of the gray world. There is no horizon, no sky, just the water and the mist and the boat. The silence is profound, wrapping around you like a heavy blanket. The only sound is the water dripping from the oars as you lift them, drip, 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 creating tiny circular ripples that expand and vanish into the smoothness. The air is cool and fresh on your face, moist with the scent of pine and deep water. You look over the side of the boat and gaze down into the depths. The water is dark and clear, shifting in shades of indigo and black. It looks bottomless and peaceful, a vast reservoir of quiet. You stop rowing for a moment and let the oars rest against the gunwales. The boat continues to drift forward on its own momentum, slowing down inch by inch. You close your eyes and listen to the silence. It is not empty, but full of presence, the presence of the water and the trees you know are out there somewhere in the fog. You feel the gentle rocking of the boat, a soothing sway that mimics the motion of a cradle. It makes your eyelids feel heavy and thick. You take a deep breath, filling your lungs with the cool mist, breathing out slowly and releasing every ounce of tension from your body. Your shoulders drop, your hands relax their grip on the oars. You are floating in a void of comfort. Time seems to dissolve here on the water. There is no clock ticking, no schedule to keep, only the endless present moment. You open your eyes slowly and see a shape emerging from the mist. It is a small island, just a cluster of rocks and a few pine trees. You row gently towards it, the oars slicing through the water with barely a sound. You drift past the island, watching the mossy rocks glide by, seeing the reflection of the trees in the dark water, perfect and inverted. The world is double, one above and one below, and you are floating in between. A loon calls out from somewhere far away, a long, mournful cry that echoes across the lake. Hoo! It is a lonely sound, but it makes you feel connected to the wildness of this place. The mist begins to thin slightly, revealing the pale light of the sun trying to break through. The water turns from black to a shimmering silver, dazzling your eyes gently. You pull the oars in and lay them along the bottom of the boat. You decide to just drift, letting the faint current take you where it wants. You lie back against the stern of the boat, using a folded blanket as a pillow, looking up at the sky. The clouds are moving slowly, drifting lazily across the pale blue canvas, shaping and reshaping themselves into soft, fluffy forms. You watch a cloud that looks like a sleeping bear.
Then it changes into a mountain, then into nothing, dissolving into the air. The boat rotates slowly, giving you a panoramic view of the nothingness. The gentle rocking continues, side to side, back and forth, lullaby motion. You feel the water supporting the boat, and the boat supporting you. You are held up by the lake, safe and secure. The sound of your breathing is loud in the stillness, in and out, slow and deep. You feel a pleasant heaviness in your limbs, as if gravity is pulling you gently down into the wood of the boat, into the water, into the earth. The temperature is perfect, not too hot and not too cold, just a comfortable neutral warmth that surrounds you. You dip your hand over the side and trail your fingers in the water. It is cold and silky, rushing through your fingers like liquid glass. The sensation is grounding, connecting you to the reality of the lake. You pull your hand back and dry it on your jeans. Closing your eyes again, you visualize the lake extending for miles in every direction, a massive sheet of calm water, holding the reflection of the sky. You are a tiny speck on this vast calmness, a single point of consciousness drifting into sleep. The sun warms your face, a gentle caress that relaxes the muscles around your eyes and mouth. Your jaw unclenches, your forehead smooths out. You are completely at rest. The boat bumps gently against a floating log, a soft thud that vibrates through the hull. Then it spins away and continues its drift. Nothing disturbs you, nothing alarms you. Everything is part of the flow. You imagine the fish swimming deep below you, moving slowly in the cold, dark water, silent and weightless. You feel weightless too, floating on the surface of the world. The mist has returned, thickening again, wrapping you in a cocoon of white cotton. The world shrinks down to just the boat and your body, intimate and cozy. The silence grows deeper, pressing against your ears, a velvet silence that blocks out all thought,
all worry, all noise. You are drifting towards the edge of consciousness, hovering between waking and sleeping. The rocking of the boat syncs with your brainwaves, slowing them down, smoothing them out. You are safe. You are alone. You are at peace. The water whispers to the hull, hush, 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 telling you to let go, telling you to sleep. You surrender to the motion, surrender to the mist. You let yourself sink down, down into the softness. The boat is your bed, the lake is your blanket, the sky is your roof. Drifting, floating, dreaming. Silence, sleep.